Hi there, welcome back. In the past, I've mentioned, when people have a defensive thought pattern, and when I say defensive, it can be the fight or flight part of that. So the aggressive side is obviously the fight side of it, and the more passive side, passive defensive side, is obviously the more defensive and flight version of that. And how that plays out in terms of your interactions, if that's an undercurrent that you have, if you're a highly aggressive person, for example. In the past, I've introduced this model, which is the dialogue model. So when we think about dialogue, we're talking to people, we throw information using our voices so people can hear it, and vice versa. And in the middle here, in this particular dialogue model, which is not my own, it's from a book called Crucial Conversations and How to Have Them. But the key part about it is this safety bit around it. When people feel unsafe, they go into a defense mechanism, right? So this is kind of where understanding that defense mechanism that you might have, and if it's a dominant one where you're kind of aggressive all the time, in terms of how you interact with other people, if they feel unsafe because you're kind of aggressive and they're more passive, has a massive change in terms of how the conversation happens. When you're having good dialogue, they have it in this what they call this blue pool of meaning or shared meaning. When the safety goes, we tend to have a conversation outside of that. So if someone's highly defensive and someone's highly aggressive, the defensive person who's doing the more passive defensive will tend to go to silence. So they won't interact. They won't say what they need to say. They won't stand up for themselves because they're feeling scared, right? That safety has gone. And so understanding that, how those patterns and how those interactions happen if you're an aggressive person, your own brain space. It says here, you see and hear stuff, you tell yourself a story, you feel a certain way, and then you act. Usually, people that are highly aggressive is they'll feel anger and get the old red brain response, and so they come out swinging, they come out yelling at people, they come out swearing at people, all that kind of stuff. And then that obviously has an effect on the other person because they have the same things happening in their head. They see and hear that, they tell themselves, sorry, Clint's really angry. They feel a certain way, so if they're quite defensive and passive, they'll back right away and won't interact. And so you have that pattern. If I'm also aggressive and I see that, I go, he's having a go at me. I might tell myself that story. I then feel angry, and the two of us have what they call a conversation in the violence section, which could be, attacking each other. So we're having an argument. So understanding how your undercurrent affects the way you interact with people is a very important part of how you build relationships, how you sustain relationships, how you can deal with things better. If you go to aggression or too much passive reactions, then you just don't get a good outcome, is unfortunately how it is. There's some really good articles on this. One is called Silence Kills. The other one's called Dialogue Heals, written by the same authors that wrote the book and came up with this model. Really good, helpful way to learn how to control your emotions a bit better. No one's saying you can't get angry. No one's saying you can't be scared, but understanding the effects that has on how you interact with others, how you deal with, when other people treat you badly as well as another important part of it. And just learning those skills is really, really important in better mental health and getting a better outcome. Cheers.